Hello and welcome to our latest presentation on capping or suctioning for tracheostomy decannulation. This was the paper which was published in NEJM last week. Approximately 15% of the patients undergoing mechanical ventilation receive a tracheostomy as a part of their care. Evidence for decannulation readiness is limited to expert opinions and single-center studies. Capping trials are commonly used to determine readiness for decannulation. An alternative approach to assess readiness for decannulation is to measure the number of times the secretions are suctioned from a patient's airway over a given period of time. So this was the study question, whether the use of suctioning as an indicator to decannulation will be better than capping. So let's look at the study design. It was a multi-center randomized controlled trial. Randomization was via random number generator occurring within 8 hours of weaning from mechanical ventilation. Treating clinicians and patients were not blinded. 5 intensive care units in Spain were included in this particular trial, and the study was conducted from May 2016 to May 2018. So what was the study population? It included critically ill patients who had a tracheostomy and that was created during the intensive care unit stay and were planned for weaning. Exclusion was contraindication to decannulation at the time of randomization, like unconsciousness, severe swallowing dysfunction, airway patency problem, neuromuscular weakness, and tracheostomy for airway control, age less than 18 years, or an expectation that death might occur before the hospital discharge by a Sabadell score. Interventions. In the suction group, patients underwent decannulation if they were received suctioning for pre-specified indication less than 2 times every 8 hourly over a 24 hours period. While in the capping group, patients were considered to be ready to undergo capping trial when they had no more than 1 suctioning every 4 hours during the 12-hour period. Failure of capping trial was defined as decapping for any reason during the 24 hours period, and patients who repeatedly failed the capping trial would undergo decannulation outside the protocol on the basis of suctioning requirement if the attending clinician considered them to be ready. Total 799 patients with tracheostomy were considered eligible. Out of this, 661 were eligible to be included in the trial, but only 330 could be randomized. Out of these, 161 went into the control group, that is the capping trial group, and 169 were assigned to the suction frequency group, that is the intervention group. There was no loss to any follow-up. So coming to the primary outcome, which was the median time to decannulation, it was significantly lower in the intervention group, only 6 days, while it was 13 days in the control group. Even the decannulation failure was more in the control group. Weaning failure, pneumonia, tracheobronchitis, duration of ICU stay, all were significantly more in the control group. ICU readmission and swallowing dysfunction were almost similar. So the author's conclusion was critically ill patients with tracheostomy tube, time to decannulation was shorter in decannulation based on suction frequency plus the use of continuous high-frequency oxygen therapy than in those who were receiving standard care with capping trials plus the use of intermittent high-flow oxygen, with no significant difference in incidence of recannulation. This study had certain limitations, like the clinician and patients were obviously unblinded. The protocol was relatively a conservative approach to weaning from mechanical ventilation, the initiation of capping, the length of stay required to achieve the capping trial. The use of high frequency oxygen therapy is a confounder, as all these patients were receiving high frequency oxygen therapy during the trial, both the intervention group as well as the control group. Fisher and Pickle paid for the writing assistance with the manuscript and travel support for the 2 authors, so the study was industry sponsored. So our take is, this is basically a trial between suction frequency with continuous high flow oxygen versus decannulations based on capping with intermittent high flow oxygen. Since high flow oxygen is a major confounder, there is a chance that it could have affected the results of this trial. The weaning protocol and decannulation protocols are different in our ICU, we definitely don't use high flow in all the patients. We are sure that high flow oxygen is not something which is routinely practiced in all patients who are going into decannulation. So this particular study cannot be universalized. But it definitely will change our judgment next time we plan to decannulate a patient, because the time to decannulation was very, very less, and there was definitely less risk of recannulation as well as less risk to the patient if we decannulated based on suctioning rather than on capping. Thank you for your patience, and check our website for further information.